Nestled in the mountains of Boone, North Carolina, Ryan Kirby begins another day in his art studio. Flush with original paintings and sketches sought by outdoorsmen from across the world, it's a daily event making sure each order is packaged and delivered to his customers, whose wall space anxiously awaits the arrival of his artwork.
My name's Ryan Kirby, and I'm a wildlife artist and designer, and we live here in Boone, North Carolina. I've worked for Winchester for a variety of years, and we also produce original oil paintings, canvas, and paper prints. And most recently, I've worked with Winchester on the redesign of their packaging and put wildlife art on the package. This here, this is a piece called Double Down. This is the original. And this was the two geese that were used in the blindside box. And we changed the background a little bit and reversed them to fit more with the logo and the feel of the box. But this is an example of how an original is used in the box art. I typically paint much larger than we're ever gonna need for the box to put more detail and put more of these subtle things in here. And then after that, we'll take a high-res photo and we'll tweak it and then transfer it down to the box. Years ago, Winchester came out with Deer Season XP, which was a big deal. The extreme point tip, all the technology that goes into that. And it was going to be a big deal for the launch of that, and they wanted me to create an illustration for the box. And so at that point in time, Winchester had a very set branding guides for each of one of their boxes. They had black box, gray box, and white box. You fast forward several years and Winchester's always changing their products, their packaging, and what they wanted to do was come back to a more colorful, a more vibrant, a more, I don't want to say retro, but it's almost a more retro feel where we brought back colored art, fine art to the packages. And so we worked together to create the new Deer Season XP box. And that's what this piece was. It was from Turn and Burn, which was a piece I originally painted for an Outdoor Life cover. And we worked this one in to where the logo fit between the antlers, darkened the background and changed a few things on here, but it really works out well because it brings color to the box, it brings some action and some energy to the box, and it really stands out on shelves, on store shelves. I feel like it's really rewarding as an artist, and I feel like it's important for Winchester to stand out and set themselves apart at retail.
Winchester Life is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Winchester Repeating Arms. Winchester Safes. Birchwood Casey. Walkers. Folds of Honor. Shoot United. Make the shooting sports part of your life. This segment of Winchester Life is brought to you by Winchester Safes.
Artists always have unique styles and unique things to say. And there's been a lot of great artists that have come before me, the Redlands and the Art LeMays and those people, guys like that. And each of us has something unique to bring to the table, and I think one thing that I try to do in my art is I try to paint with the hunter in mind. So when I envision a piece, I always envision it how I'm going to experience that wildlife for the very first time. And when I see a buck jump across the fence into a cornfield, I'm locked on him. When I see a turkey strut over the ridge, I'm locked on him. And I don't notice a lot of the subtle details. I may not notice the squirrel in the tree 20 yards behind him, or the bluebird in the foreground. And so I don't paint those things. I tend to paint those things loose, let some of the other details fall away, and let the viewer piece those things together in their own mind. What I really try to do is make the wildlife the hero of the story. And I do that by focusing really tightly on the focal point of the animal and then keeping a lot of the other things abstract. And so I feel like it's cool for me to have people come up and recognize my style. People that see it on Winchester boxes or at retail and they recognize my style in that. It's nice to have a style that's recognizable and something that people can appreciate. You know, one of the things that sketching has meant to me is it's been a creative outlet, first of all, but we also use it in a lot of different projects. And I really rely on it as a way to stay sharp, to stay loose and pursue new ideas creatively. And, you know, looking back, I'm looking back over years of sketches here, and you don't really remember how much I've actually done. But you know, I went through a phase there where I was sketching at least once a day, and over time that really adds up. As our business here, we've grown quite a bit over the years, and I specialize really in art for the hunter. We have original oil paintings that I do. We go to a couple shows and sell those. We also have some canvas and paper prints. We have some art that's designed with information and biology as well, that combines art and info. And really my goal as an artist is like to bring the outdoors indoors. And I really want to make a mark on the American hunt camp. That's one of my goals. And you know, if I could get to the point where we have pieces of iconic art that everyone wants in a hunt camp, that's the end goal for me. That's a huge win. And so we've been in business for about 10 years. We're constantly growing and working with new brands and new partnerships and releasing new products on our own. And it's been really rewarding. It's been encouraging. It's challenging, just like every other thing in life that's worth doing. But I've really enjoyed it, and I feel really fortunate to live where we live and do the things that we do. So we have grown as we've expanded our products over the years. The team has grown as well. And one thing that we are trying to do more and more of is offer glimpses into my studio. You know, I've been the guy that's been behind the camera for so long and the one that's been creating. Now we're trying to offer a glimpse into the studio. We've got a podcast, we've got YouTube content, we've got new products coming out all the time. So there's a lot going on, and we tend to thrive off of that.
This segment of Winchester Life has been brought to you by Walkers. This segment of Winchester Life is brought to you by Folds of Honor, providing life-changing scholarships to families of fallen or disabled military and first responders. Art and advertising have long been intertwined. The likes of Warhol and Rockwell have created some of the most iconic campaigns in history in a quest for meaningful engagement. For Winchester, art has never been just a way to differentiate. It's been a way to connect. It's a thoughtful representation, a unique point of view, and oftentimes a manifestation of the images that hunters around the world have inside their minds. Bringing the performance and purpose of ammunition to life through art is no small task, and the halls of history are adorned with visions from some of wildlife's very best. Today, the art that adorns any given Winchester box is much more than just art. It's a meaningful representation of the season, the animal, and the technology. It's a beautiful form of communication that echoes the legacy of a commitment to excellence in everything Winchester does.
You know, we've seen a lot of brands in the outdoor industry, and Winchester included, that used to rely a lot on art. And now you have a lot of companies coming back to art, and Winchester's taking a big risk in coming back to art and using people like me to help tell the story of the outdoors. And art has historically played a huge role in people's ties to adventure, in people's ties to the West. You know, some of my favorite artists were artists that they used in cities to help tell the story of the American West, to get people to move west. You know, you see some of the guys that used to illustrate the Western big game or interactions with grizzlies. You know, Winchester has a ton of calendars and posters and tin signs that show that art. And I don't think there's any other method better than art to help tell that story in a printed form. You know, obviously we have video and things like that now, but when you really want to tell that story in a printed form, art is a great way to do it. And we've seen a lot of brands start to do that again. And it's inspiring to me to see companies sort of coming back to their roots, coming back to what got them there, and helping tap into things, new ways to inspire sportsmen, new ways to reach hunters and shooters. And I think art's a great way to do that. And that's what I've built my career on. And it's cool to work with Winchester on doing the same for ammunition.
Every creative mind has a place that speaks to them when they need it most. A place where the distractions of everyday life melt away like the snow in spring. For Ryan Kirby, that place lives just a short drive from his art studio. It's here where Ryan allows the nature and wildlife around him to inspire the next great piece of art in his growing award-winning collection. His connection to the land that began as the son of a farmer in the Midwest continues to guide his creativity in the mountains of North Carolina.
So I come out here every now and then, and this is a property we own pretty close to the house. And I come out here and I'll sketch trees and some landscapes and some overall, you know, general concepts, compositions for paintings. But what always comes back for me is the people and the wildlife. And even when I'm out here looking at the landscape, which is great and it's beautiful, it always comes back to me for the wildlife, and it always inspires the ideas and makes me think about the times I've been out here and the animals we've seen and the experiences we've had. And to me, that's what makes it special. You know, obviously this place is beautiful, but it's what has happened here over the years that is what makes it special to me. We bought this place a couple years ago, and obviously where I grew up was more corn, soybeans, and wheat. And it's cool to come out here and you know, we've got Christmas trees growing on it now. So, you know, even though I'm 800 miles from home, you know, the same things that drew me and my family to the land and the outdoors there, just because we're Christmas trees and not cornfields doesn't mean it's the same things that tie us in and connect us to, you know, everything we've got going on here.
This segment of Winchester Life has been brought to you by Birchwood Casey. This segment of Winchester Life is brought to you by Winchester Repeating Arms.
When I step up to an open canvas, there's a lot of things on my mind. Number one is I have a pretty good idea in my head of what I want to create, but the challenge is, how do we get there? And that is something that's a continual learning process, but also I've learned to get there a little bit ahead of time. So I've learned to formulate that solid vision in my mind of what I want that canvas to be. And virtually every time I step in front of a canvas, I'll sit and I'll study it for a little bit. And I'll just kind of take a moment to try to ground myself, collect my thoughts, and figure out where I'm gonna go from there. A paintbrush to me is a tool. And believe it or not, there are certain paintbrushes that I rely on. There are certain paintbrushes that I know the brush tip is going to act a certain way. It's going to leave a certain brush stroke. It's going to be able to give me a hard edge or a soft edge, a texture or a smooth composition. And you, as an artist, you gain a certain feel for them. It's almost like that shotgun, that pump shotgun that almost pumps itself. There's a certain feel to it. It's comfortable, it's reliable, and it's like, man, I know I can get it done with this one. And certain paintbrushes are the same way for me. There's 4 or 5, I've got 30 of them over here that are in these jars, and there's probably 4 or 5 that are my go-tos every time. And really, that's a tool for me to help convey what's in my head. And there's a variety of ways to do that, but man, there's only a few brushes I've got the feel for, I've got the touch for. Winchester to me is a part of American history and American culture, if I could sum it up. You know, I grew up in small town America, and in rural culture, like, Winchester actually means something, you know. It was the gun that won the West. It's been ammunition that has been used by hunters and shooters alike all across the country. And really, in small town America, Winchester strikes a certain vein, a certain you know, nostalgia. It was part of my childhood. You know, I can remember going and picking out boxes of Super X slugs the night before shotgun season when I was a kid, and shooting 22s and shooting squirrels and all that kind of stuff with Winchester. And you know, to me, it means reliability. It means it's solid. It's consistent. It's never going away. It's reliable. It's dependent, and it's a fabric of small town America. And that, to me, is something that I'm proud to be a part of and proud to be tied in with. I think living a Winchester life is its dependability, its reliability, it's showing up when you say you're going to, it's doing what you say you're going to do, and it's doing that consistently over time. You know, I remember, you know, Boone, where we live now, has a lot of small town feel to it. A lot of country feel where you know your neighbors, and that's how I grew up in small town America. And a lot of times you rely on your neighbors and they rely on you, and your word is your bond and you stick to it. And when you say you're going to do something, and when you say you can deliver on something, you got to follow through on that, because not only are you letting yourself down, you're letting everybody else down with you. And so it takes a lot of courage at times, it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of perseverance to follow through with that kind of stuff. And that's what I feel like Winchester does well. I feel like Winchester, you know, when they say they're going to deliver on a certain technology and it's going to perform, it's going to perform. And I feel like those same qualities and same values carrying into your life with your family, with your friends, with your career, that's what it means to live a Winchester life.